2018 WJTS News, I'm Charlotte Olson. The Jasper police were forced to put a dog down after it was aggressive towards an officer. On Thursday afternoon, the Jasper Police Department received a complaint of an aggressive black and white pit bull running at large from wooden keg lickers. An officer with the Jasper Police Department and a deputy with the DuBois County Sheriff's Department went to wooden keg lickers, and upon their arrival, they were advised the dog had returned to 820 Hillary Drive where it resides. The officers went to that location and they attempted to make contact with the homeowner, and after knocking on the door, it opened and a black and white pit bull ran out the door, and the door was slammed behind the dog. Police said the dog then ran towards one of the officers in an aggressive manner, snarling, barking, and lunged at the officer. In fear of getting bit, officers shot the dog to stop its aggressive advance and threat towards them. In turn, the dog succumbed to the injuries it received. Hoosiers will feel a bit more exhausted on March 11th as Sunday daylight savings time for 2018 begins. The Indiana Department of Homeland Security says that clocks will spring forward at 2 a.m. local time on Sunday. Indiana residents are encouraged to include changing their smoke alarm batteries when changing their clocks forward an hour. State Fire Marshal Jim Greason says that as Hoosiers continue to be impacted by fire deaths, he likes to take the opportunity to remind Hoosiers that checking their smoke alarms once a month and changing batteries twice a year can be the extra protection to help keep their families safe. The 13th annual Jasper Home Expo kicked off this afternoon as businesses set up booths at the St. Joseph Parish Center in Jasper. Visitors to the Expo began to make their way into the event this afternoon as local area businesses and organizations showcase their services and provide a chance for residents to learn more about what they offer to the community. Nearly 60 vendors will be on hand this weekend, offering everything from popcorn by Springs Valley Bank to our all-time favorite balloons brought to you by us here at DC Broadcasting. DuBois County residents can tour and collect information on local commerce, and on Saturday, the Expo will pick back up at 9 a.m. and last until 3 p.m. Vendors will have demonstrations, prizes, and giveaways, and there will also be a grand prize drawing with several items donated from vendors. This year's Jasper Home Expo is once again hosted by the Jasper Chamber of Commerce. Snakes continue to be misunderstood, or at least that was the message at last night's DNR presentation at the Ferdinand Branch Library. Michael Cruz, a nature specialist with the DNR, spoke to a mixed crowd of young and old, explaining the most common misconceptions that Hoosiers have when it comes to these legless reptiles.
There are lots of myths about snakes. First of all, there's a myth that a snake can actually bite its own tail and roll down the hill away from you. There are myths that all snakes are venomous. That's a big myth. All snakes aren't venomous. Most snakes are completely harmless. That's a big one. That copperheads smell like cucumbers is maybe not a false, but I've never known them to smell like cucumbers. Maybe vinegar certain times of the year, a pickled cucumber maybe, but never actually smell like a fresh cucumber. That's a good one.
Why is it that snakes may sometimes smell like vinegar? Cruz said that it's because of the gland that manufacture disagreeable smelling substances that snakes emit when they feel bothered or frightened by others. Cruz had on display a king snake, one of the more common non-venomous snakes that DuBois County residents might encounter, along with the most prevalent non-venomous snake species in the county, a rat snake. With the crowd was encouraged to pet if they felt up to, and Cruz also had in tow one of the few venomous snakes found in the area, a copperhead, which continues to make even more of a presence in southern Indiana recently as weather continues to warm. The DNR reminds people that many people have a fear of snakes and snake bites, but in most cases, snake bites are a result of someone trying to move a snake by accidentally stepping on it. Bites from venomous snakes are very rare in Indiana. Cruz noted that it's important for residents to educate themselves when it comes to snakes as they play an important part of our overall ecosystem.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun because people are so scared of the snakes, and there's the tension. There's always a tension, so that little bit of tension can always be made into a lot of fun, people jumping around. But most people learn a lot because there are so many misconceptions about snakes, and everybody thinks a snake will kill you. Every snake will kill you, and that's just not true. Once they get to know which snakes are harmless and which one's in my garden, because people say, oh, yeah, that one's in my garden. I say that's completely harmless. It will not hurt you. Okay, so they feel a little bit better. And then the kids, if the kids are taught early, they almost are never afraid of snakes after they are introduced to them in a safe, friendly manner. So that's really that really means a lot. And then they come back to the nature center, or I see them 20 years later, and they're like, oh yeah, you showed me my first snake. So that's cool.
To end this on a good note for all not-so-snake enthusiasts, some of the more positives of snakes, according to the DNR, include the reptile's ability to keep the ever-present rodent population in check. Crew's presentations was part of a monthly program that are featured at the Ferdinand Branch Library, as they offer an outreach of continued education within the community. An accident along State Road 56 east of Shamrock Lane resulted in a minor injury for a Jasper man. Bruce Terwisky was stopped in the eastbound lane along State Road 56 in his 2005 Dodge van to turn into a private drive. An approaching 2006 International driven by Polly Brown of Elnora was coming up behind Terwisky when Brown did not see the stopped van. She reported to police that she tried to stop but locked her brakes on her International and skidded 128 feet before striking the van. Terwisky suffered minor injuries, including reporting chest pain and a laceration to his right arm. Brown was cited for speed too fast to avoid a collision. The Huntingburg police arrested a woman hiding in a closet on multiple charges following an issued arrest warrant. On Thursday evening, Huntingburg Police Department went to Huntingburg residence to serve an arrest warrant that has been issued for Tracy Flores. Flores was wanted on multiple charges, including 2 counts of forgery, a level 6 felony, neglect of a dependent, a level 6 felony, and 2 counts of compulsory school attendance for full term, a B misdemeanor, from an investigation that started in the later part of February of this year. Upon arriving at the residence, Huntingburg police were told that Tracy Flores was not at the residence. Officers advised when they were there and were led into the residence to search for Flores. They located her in the back bedroom closet of the home, and after reading the warrant to Flores, she became very belligerent and uncooperative. Officers reported that they attempted to place handcuffs on her, and that's when she started to run. She shoved an officer and then continued to be uncooperative. She was arrested and transported to the DuBois County Security Center. Flores now faces additional charges of battery on a police officer, a level 6 felony, and resisting arrest, a Class A misdemeanor. Southeast DuBois County School Corporation officials are preparing for the launch of e-learning as they have set a date for parents and students to come in and learn how the new system of making up school days due to weather will officially work. During the regular Southeast School Corporation meeting, the board heard on the advancements what the school is making and the e-learning initiative as they have set a launch date for the alternative to missed school days. Teachers Andy Longbow and Kyle Leakin demonstrated the e-learning tools that students are using when making up school days. The corporation will have an e-learning day on March the 17th, and materials will go live on March the 15th, so parents can look at them and ask any questions ahead of time. For those students who struggle with connectivity, the school will be open from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. and a light lunch will be served. Parents are reminded not to stress over the 17th date, as students will have 3 days from that e-learning date in order to complete the lessons. Along with the newly introduced technology, teachers are simplifying their classrooms, as Forest Park under Google Classroom is allowing students less use of multiple pages and giving the teachers easier access to monitor students' activity in order to ensure students are keeping up with their work. In other news, the board recognized a student, Will Steckler, who had recently won the VFW State Flag Essay Contest. Will read his essay for those present, and also board members also heard a proposal to begin using Vantiv credit card processing for lunch and textbook rental via the Harmony Family Access website. The board approved such measures, which will enable parents to pay online. They currently plan to charge a flat protraction rate in order to cover the costs that are associated with credit card processing. The fees are $2 per lunch transaction and $8 per textbook. They do not plan to wait until next year to implement the system, and they hope to have it up and running as soon as possible. And finally, there was a brief report on the building project as it was announced that despite some setbacks caused by flooding, the current project remains on schedule and crews were able to work on alternative projects in the meantime in order to continue staying on track. Authorities say a domestic breakup may have sparked a fatal shooting that led to a 2-day police standoff in western Indiana. Vigo County Prosecutor Terry Motset says that preliminary findings suggest that a domestic situation preceded Monday's fatal shooting of 40-year-old Amanda Kearns. Police say that 36-year-old Michael R. Reynolds fatally shot Kearns and critically wounded a man on Monday at a home in Terre Haute, about 70 miles of Indy. The Tribune-Star reports that Reynolds then fled a second home where the state police fatally shot the Terre Haute man on Tuesday, which was following a 20-hour standoff. State police said that Thursday a coroner used fingerprints to positively identify Reynolds. Detectives are investigating both Reynolds' shooting death and his apparent wounding on Monday by Terre Haute police. And make sure you keep it right here, because up next we're going to take a look at your weather summary.